Okay, you should be on the right. Okay. All right. Good morning and welcome. My name is Jessica Allen. I'm the agency head and chairwoman of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. I will now call to order this investigative hearing of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. As stated in the public notice of hearing, the commission initiated this investigation under Indiana Code 7.1-2-3-4 in response to a complaint received on or about March 28, 2024, and based on the history of violations relating to this permit holder and prior permit holders in which the owner had operational roles. After consultation with ATC legal staff, the commission initiated this investigation and subsequently issued a notice of investigatory hearing, which was previously posted outside of the ATC office and on the ATC's website. Investigatory hearings allow the commission to conduct inquiries concerning the administration of existing laws, as well as the need for proposed legislation and/or administrative rulemaking. We have several witnesses scheduled to testify today. The commission will ask questions of the witnesses. Following the questions of the commission, the witness will have an opportunity to provide any additional information the witness believes relevant to this hearing. Before we begin, the commissioners will be acting as hearing judge today. I will be leading the questioning to keep things organized, but other commissioners may also ask questions. To get started, I will briefly summarize the background of this matter, provide some procedural and administrative instructions, and have other agency representatives introduce themselves. Counsel representing a witness called during an investigative hearing is prohibited from asking questions during such hearing unless otherwise authorized by the hearing judge. Any objection during an investigative hearing shall be stated concisely and in a non-argumentative and non-suggestive manner. An instruction not to answer may be made during an investigative hearing only when necessary to preserve a legally recognized privilege. I'll have the commissioners introduce themselves now.
My name is James W. Payne. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission.
Good afternoon, Mark Jones, Commissioner.
And then commission staff with us today.
Ashley Merritt, General Counsel.
Chris Sarek, I'm the Executive Secretary.
Melissa Beaucaire, Attorney.
The purpose of today's hearing is to receive public testimony regarding the business operations and business relationships of D&E Spirits LLC, formerly known as Indiana Beverage Wholesale LLC. More specifically, the purpose of the investigatory hearing is to explore the following issues and/or subject matters. Whether D&E Spirits LLC satisfies the character of business test set forth in Indiana Code 7.1-3-1-19, and whether any business practice, relationship, and/or dealing by or between D&E Spirits LLC and another permit holder is a violation of or inimical to a provision of Title 7.1 of the Indiana Code and/or a rule or regulation of the Commission, as contemplated under Indiana Code 7.1-2-3-22. The hearing will start with persons who signed up with our general counsel to testify as to their dealings with D&E Spirits. Then we will move to subpoenaed witnesses that either own or have business dealings with D&E Spirits. We will not go past 4:30 p.m. today. At the conclusion of today's hearing, we will likely select a follow-up hearing date in case one is needed after the commissioners review the testimony and information gathered here today. We may not hold a second hearing, but we'll at least select a possible date. D&E Spirits currently holds permits to wholesale wine and liquor within the three-tier system. The prohibited interest statutes in Title 7.1 and the trade practice regulations in Title 7.1 and Title 905 of the Indiana Administrative Code show a legal requirement that wholesalers operate independently and observe strict compliance with the three-tier system. The Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission has a long history of maintaining that independence at the wholesale level and expects those operating at the wholesale level to operate in a manner that is strictly compliant. Witnesses today are required to answer the questions of the commission. You may only refuse to answer a question if it falls within a legally recognized privilege. One such privilege would be the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment can only be invoked when answering the question would be self-incriminatory, or in other words, suggest your involvement in a crime or expose you to criminal prosecution. It does not apply to questions that you simply don't want to answer or make you uncomfortable. In these proceedings, if you invoke the Fifth Amendment, the commission may draw negative inferences from that. All right. Anything else?
And for me.
All right. We will move through in the order of the agenda. And we will start with Mark Shoeblack with the Indiana Association of Beverage Retailers from Taft Law. All right. Mr. Shoeblack, I will have you take our oath. Do you solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the testimony you're about to give the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. Can you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
For the record, my name is Mark Shoeblack, MarkShublak, with Taft Law, representing the Indiana beverage retailers.
All right. And I guess just for the record, can you tell us who the Indiana Association of Beverage Retailers are?
The association is a collection of small packaged liquor stores throughout the state of Indiana that are deeply concerned about the marketplace and this wholesaler.
Okay. So when you say this wholesaler, you're referring to D&E Spirits?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is your familiarity with the IABR and their interactions with D&E Spirits?
I have represented the IABR for a number of years. I am familiar with past wholesalers where Mr. Stewart has been involved. I'm familiar with a complaint that was filed and a letter that was submitted. I've also reviewed the incident report from the excise police in this matter.
Okay. You indicated that you had concerns about the operations. Can you identify what those concerns are?
Yes, Madam Chair. As it relates to the character of business test, Section 19 states that it must be made to appear to the satisfaction of the commission that a substantial portion of the business carried on in the premise in respect to which a permit is applied for is in the nature of the applicant's main business function. It is our contention here that the permittee may be holding a wholesaler's permit, but has not been in primary control of the functions utilized by other such employees. And if I could explain, the excise incident report shows transportation may have been paid for by the wholesaler, but the wholesaler did not hire the company being utilized to make the delivery and seemingly could not terminate that company. Further, excise officers found 3 carriers to be out of compliance by not holding a common carrier license in Indiana. One of the drivers told the excise officer that they were not even transporting alcoholic beverages. So transportation, distribution, delivery are major components of what a wholesaler undertakes as part of their substantial purpose. The excise officer's report included a number of troubling business practices, employing some deceptive practices that included making at least not a true and accurate statement to excise police about the activities of bringing products to rest where a warehouse is located. As you know, product must be delivered, unloaded, come to rest in a warehouse, and then be delivered to the retail permittee. The findings of the report suggested that the permittee may not have been fully engaged in this activity. And even if the permittee has changed their practices since the initial investigation, adhering to all laws in Indiana, there's a question about one company, one permittee being served, and no inventory in the warehouse. Typically, a wholesaler would have inventory in stock. The permittee, it appears, and it's a question for the commission to ask, the permittee appears to have only one single company, which Mr. Stewart, the owner of D&E Spirits, confirmed when asked by excise officers, and he had no intention of adding other similarly situated retail permittees. It's our contention legitimate permit holders would welcome additional permittees to grow and help their business, their wholesale business flourish. Additionally, the permittee is in violation of the ATC regulation.
Yeah, I think so, no.
Like, you must. Oh, well, yeah, that's budget. Thank you. All right.
As of last week, to continue, it appears the permittee was in violation of the ATC's regulation requiring a product management plan to be filed with the ATC. Product management is one of those several services that wholesalers play in support of retailers. Again, as you look at the substantial activity, delivering, managing product, there is no product management plan on file that we can determine. This has been the first 2-year period for this wholesaler. The beverage retailers don't think they've demonstrated sound business practices despite the permittee having been involved with other alcohol permits throughout the years. According again to an incident report, Mr. Stewart was deceptive with excise officers when confronted during the investigation. In September of 2022, officers attempted to observe a truck delivery shipment at D&E Spirits premise. When questioned by officers about the delivery, Mr. Stewart claimed that the delivery truck had been at his premise that morning. Mr. Stewart also claimed that the truck then left the location and went to the Greenwood retailer location. The excise officers followed up on this questioning by visiting both a Greenwood and Indianapolis retailer, and excise determined that the shipment only went to the Indianapolis retailer. Now, I submit to you, if someone was substantially engaged and their time and attention was engaged with wholesaling, would they not have known where their truck was delivering to? Especially in a small business. Mr. Stewart, at minimum, was not true and accurate in his representations to the excise police. It appears as if the wholesaler may be acting as a clearinghouse for a single permittee who receives alcoholic beverages from a fulfillment center in New Jersey. Based again on the facts in the excise incident report, the wholesaler just has to generate an invoice and pay for the trucking services. It did not organize or contract for the pay. It's a question the commission should examine. Does this wholesaler have independent relationships with the manufacturer? It appears that if this is the primary work of this wholesaler, we ask the commission to examine whether any order has ever been made where Mr. Stewart has acted on his own without any direction or intervention from a retail permittee. As you all know, part of Section 1 of the Alcohol Code is to regulate commerce. And we want a healthy marketplace. A wholesaler that does not make product available to all retailers fundamentally undermines our 3-tier system. And then secondly, as it relates to business practices, whether any business practice, relationship, or dealing by D&E Spirits and any other permittee is a violation of Title 7.1. Again, it appears that D&D Spirits does not have regular business hours and few to no employees. D&D Spirits permit premise does not have regular business hours. I submit to you, what business, legitimate business, does not have regular business hours where its customers can transact businesses within a certain time period? Additionally, as of Friday, this past Friday, there was no website that could be easily ascertained for anyone wishing to receive a price sheet or place an order. Without regular business hours being listed, how can a permittee make contact with this wholesaler? I would submit to you, a legitimate wholesaler would have staff to take orders, to make deliveries, to unload trucks when product comes to rest, to reload those trucks, to deliver those trucks to permittees. We urge the commission to look into D&C Spirits regarding the lack of ordinary and normal business practices. As it relates to transportation of product, another fundamental role of wholesalers. The incident report describes a conversation between officers and Mr. Stewart regarding transportation matters. During this conversation, Mr. Stewart explained that the product arrives to D&E Spirits from a distribution center in New Jersey. Mr. Stewart stated that he pays for the trucking to come to D&E. The product is unloaded and reloaded, and then it all goes to the retail permittee. The carrier used was C.H. Robinson. C.H. Robinson is not a company selected by the wholesaler and may not have a contract with this wholesaler. That's a question for the commission to examine. While at the time of the report, there was no inventory related to the wholesaler on the permits on site, officers did note that there was a lot of Copper Mountain beverage products, which Mr. Stewart stated was just being stored, and this all gets shipped to New Jersey for one permittee. I would submit to you the transportation practices here in these incident reports point to the further fact that there is only one permittee, one retail permittee that this wholesaler is serving, and it may be they're just clearing product. 7.1383 states the sale, transportation, and delivery of liquor shall be made only from inventory that has been located on the wholesaler's premise before the time of invoicing and delivery. Before the time of invoicing and delivery. I see 7.1-3-8-3. The incident report shows that officers inquired about a lack of inventory at the warehouse, and Mr. Stewart responded that he does not keep inventory in his warehouse. Mr. Stewart indicated the product that arrives at his facility that he supposedly loads and unloads and also invoices is not a part of his inventory. Evidently, he made multiple. He made reference to this, multiple times in the report, and only claimed the product was actually inventory once. Mr. Stewart was asked this question by excise officers and informed them, one permittee will send me an order, then I place the order, then they fulfill the order and send it back to me. He was then directly asked, so do they dictate what they want and then it's automatically fulfilled in New Jersey? Mr. Stewart stated yes. So we urged the ATC also to take notice of the owner's reputation. This is related to the owner. He's been in the industry for multiple years. Most recently, he held a salesman permit for both Wabash Valley and Rhodes Beverage. Both were subject to an ATC investigation that began in 2020 and was resolved in 2022 after Wabash Valley relinquished their permits once they expired, and Rhodes Beverage permits were revoked by the commission in July of 2022. Mr. Stewart indicated at that time to excise officers that he began operating D&E Spirits on July 1, 2022, which was the very day that Wabash Valley permits expired, and just 5 days before the settlement agreement with Rhodes Beverage was signed. Magically, the same primary sources that were not
looking for some examples. So I've got the two coastal examples.
If you're on virtually, could you mute your microphone and make sure that it remains muted? Thank you.
Madam Chair, magically, the same primary sources that were not being able to the permittees, other than one single customer, were moved from Wabash Valley to D&E Spirits. It's our understanding that Mr. Stewart's salesman permit expired on July 26th, 2024. So we think the commission should ask, who are the salespeople for this company and who are holding those salesman permits? We also think the commission should take notice of the reputation of the owner and past course of dealing with other wholesalers. So for all the foregoing, you'll hear additional witness testimony from actual retail permittees, packaged liquor stores that have interacted with this wholesaler, but we would submit to you for all the foregoing that this wholesaler is not substantially engaged in the practice of being a legitimate wholesaler. They are not carrying out the ordering function. They may not have the sales staff to take orders from retailers without control from a retail permittee. There's a record of not unloading, just opening a truck, inspecting, resealing it, and letting it go, not unloading that inventory into a warehouse. And finally, we just think there has been some troubling business practices in the owner's prior history that we'd ask you to take notice of. Thank you, Madam Chair, for your time, members of the commission.
If you know, are there other wholesalers that don't maintain inventory in their warehouse?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of any other wholesalers that don't maintain inventory. They are responding to their retail permittees. They always want to have some stock in order when those retail permittees are out of stock to immediately fill that without delay.
Any other questions?
Is it typical for a wholesaler to only work with one supplier and provide only one product, or are there multiple suppliers with multiple?
Thank you for the question. In our judgment, it is not typical for a wholesaler to service merely one permittee. I can't, even the smaller wholesalers outside of the big wholesalers in Indiana, it seems those small wholesalers are trying to grow their business. They're trying to provide the best customer service available to multiple permittees. There's a lot of competition in that marketplace with different permittees. In this instance, the facts are not supporting that type of behavior.
I want to clarify, because you said one supplier. And you answered as to one retailer.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
So
Maybe you
that
want to
answers
restate the
this
question?
But, is it typical for a wholesaler to limit the brands they carry?
Our contention is no. A wholesaler would have multiple relationships with multiple suppliers, manufacturers, brewers, wineries, distillers. And they would not limit their SKUs to, one label or a limited quantity.
Anything else?
Is it typical when a truck delivers that there is an invoice or a labeling of the products that were delivered, so we know how much was delivered, when it was delivered, that kind of thing?
Yes, there should be records maintained of orders from the wholesaler direct to a primary source. And then those deliveries to the warehouse, and they should be unloading that product, and it should come to rest in the warehouse. And then they should be receiving orders from a retail permittee requesting product. Typically, though, you do not see a retail permittee on an order request to a supplier. Again, we need separation between the three tiers. Retailers are typically interacting with the wholesaler. The wholesaler is typically interacting with the primary source.
When I was, years ago, I worked for a summer in an IGA warehouse, and we loaded and unloaded trucks. When we unloaded trucks, we had to keep inventory, keep a record of damaged or unusable goods.
Correct.
For a whole host of reasons, I suspect. One, to make sure we didn't do it, and to make sure that the bills and things may be adjusted between what was sent on the truck and what was delivered usable. Is that typical in
That is
the wholesaler industry also?
That is typical. You will have wholesalers retrieving damaged product. They'll be interacting with the primary source. They'll be rotating expired product out of the retail customer, bringing it back to the warehouse. They will have damaged product. They may have records of that. And I would submit to that triggers another thought outside of your question, but may be relevant for the commission to consider, is given the amount of inventory that the retailer is ordering, I think it's a legitimate question. How many people are in the warehouse loading and unloading, given the volume of inventory? If there's a lot of inventory, that's a lot of work for one person to take orders, to unload trucks, to load trucks, to do product management. That's a lot of work. You got to have a lot of staff. And in fact, I would say most wholesalers, even smaller wholesalers, most of those people are on the line, delivering product in the warehouse, doing the hard work.
What I was trying to get to, sir, was if there's never, assuming that there is damage to some of the goods in transportation, if there is never any record of damaged goods, it strikes me that it means that the truck was never unloaded.
Correct. Yes, we would concur with that conclusion.
Thank you.
Um,
Madam Chair, are we allowed to voice the objection with this part, or are we?
what would be the basis of the objection during an investigatory hearing?
My basis is this line of testimony about wholesalers seems speculative in that Mr. Shoeblack represents the Association of Beverage Retailers, which are package stores, not wholesalers. So I think his answers are all speculation.
I think in an investigatory hearing, we have kind of wide latitude. We understand who he represents and that he's coming at it from a standpoint of businesses that receive product, not that engage in a wholesale tier. But I think in an investigatory hearing, we have pretty wide latitude. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission.
Next, Matt Bell with Catalyst Public Affairs representing Big Red Liquors. All right, I'm going to take our oath.
Yes, ma'am.
We solemnly swear or affirm as the case may be that the testimony you're about to give the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. So we'll start off similar. Tell us your name, who you're representing.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Matthew Bell, Matthew space Bell. I'm representing Big Red Liquors today.
And for the record, can you tell us who Big Red Liquors is and how they're involved in the industry?
Yes, ma'am. Big Red Liquors is a packaged liquor store operator in Indiana. They own 103 packaged liquor stores within the state of Indiana. That makes them the 6th largest operator of liquor stores in the United States. And they are a member in good standing of the Indiana Association of Beverage Retailers.
May I interject? Especially with your voice.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to be eating the microphone.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm half blind, but we'll get there.
No, I understand. So you can lower
Gotcha.
or whatever. If this gets transcribed, I don't want the person's ears to get blown out in the nose.
Didn't mean to yell at anybody, sir.
You weren't yelling in here.
Got it.
Through the microphone. That's an experienced judge there that's listened to a few recordings.
Yes, sir.
So with that, for the purposes of today's hearing, are you familiar with Big Red Liquors and any possible interactions with D&E Spirits?
I am, ma'am. And in fact, I'd like to read a prepared statement written by Big Red Liquors that details some of those interactions, or at least attempted interactions.
Can you tell us who prepared it and what their role is with Big Red Liquors?
The letter was provided to me directly by Don Ricks with Big Red Liquors, who serves as formerly the president. I think in a current role, I would struggle to tell you the exact title of the current role, but in an executive capacity with Big Red Liquors.
Go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair, commissioners and members of the commission. A letter from Big Red Liquors, to whom it may concern. On November 4th, 2020, at 12:42 p.m., we, Big Red Liquors, sent an order to Wabash Valley Wholesale at 770 Antico Road, Plainfield, Indiana, 46168, for 19 SKUs of wine at an 800 case deal level after receiving a price sheet at 11:50 a.m. The price sheet contained thousands of SKUs with a 1 case and 800 case deal level. Presumably, this was the fill-in order for all private label SKUs that Total Wine carries. We requested that the 19 SKUs be submitted into our system so we could take delivery. We did not receive a response. On April 19, 2021, John Glum sent an email to D. Stewart, STEWART, @yahoo.com for an order from Wabash Valley for Suavecito tequila, an item we had carried from Wabash in the past. We received the following response. Hi, John. Currently, we are in discussions with Indiana ATC, and unfortunately at this time, we will not be able to fill your order. It was our understanding that once Wabash signed an agreement with Total Wine, They denied us the ability to carry this item, which previously was in our stores and we had purchased from Wabash. On 3/4/2022 at 12:06 p.m., we sent the following email to D Stewart, STEWART NWS@yahoo.com with the same wine SKUs from the 11/4/20 email. Dale, hope all is well. Not sure what the status of Wabash is, but if you all are still ordering Total Wine SKUs out of New Jersey, in light of the new advisory opinion issued by ATC today, we'd like to get these wines on order ASAP. And if there's an updated deal book with all your SKUs, please send that along as well. We did not receive a response to our email on 3/4/2022. On 7/5/2022 at 10:59 a.m., we reached out again with the following email. Dale, wanted to reach out again regarding clearing wine that Wabash carries. We'd like to place an order for the 19 wines on this list and see into any other products you carry. We received the following response on 7/5/22 from D Stewart NWS, same spelling as referenced before, at yahoo.com. As of June 29th, 2022, Wabash Valley has ceased operations and permanently closed. There is no other information available. On 7/14/2022 at 8:19 a.m., we received information that Dale Stewart's new company was called Indiana Beverage Wholesaler, license number WH4930105. We requested a published price book. We did not receive a response. On 7/26/2022 at 12:13 p.m., we sent a second email to Mr. Stewart. Dale, not sure what the status is on the new company, but are definitely interested in placing an order. Even if it's a 5,000 plus case minimum, we are still interested. Are you able to send items and pricing along? No response was received after this order, plus a phone call and message left at 4:36 p.m. on 7/29/2022 was unanswered. As a note, Big Red Liquors has had the privilege of carrying some private label items, which have been distributed by Middle Ape, an Indiana company, for several years. These include Grain Company Vodka, Rose Island Vodka, Krogman's Bourbon, White Jacket Rum, Ultic Gin, among others. There is no territory contract between Big Red and Middle Ape. And it's our understanding that anyone who wants to buy the same items from Middle Ape is free to do so at any time. And I'm happy to provide copies of the letter to the commissioners or to staff if that's appropriate, ma'am.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Happy to provide that.
Good question.
Yes, sir.
The middle what?
Ape, APE.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And so I think the question from a Big Red perspective is one that cuts in many ways to the heart of the issue. If in fact it's found that this practice of a quote unquote wholesaler being set up to serve only one permittee based on its relationship with private labels, does Big Red also have the opportunity to create a wholesaler who receives product directly from a primary source and delivers only to Big Red? We have always operated under the premise that our private labels are available across the state. And in practice, that's exactly how the state has operated, maybe since Prohibition ended. If that is not the case anymore, if we're found that, nope, there's a way to skirt that law, we too are very interested in that, and we won't be the only retailer. What will emerge is a system where there is not equitable access to products across the state. That's a fundamental shift in the way that we have retailed alcohol under 7.1 for the last 80 years. And so really, that's the question about the legitimacy of this practice, about the character of this particular licensee. Are we willing to change the way that we've retailed alcohol, which has served the state of Indiana well, which has provided for consumer choice, which has provided for market equity, or are we willing to endorse a system that creates unique winners and losers? Now, You know, Mark presented a bevy of facts earlier, and Mark is an outstanding attorney. I'm not. In fact, I was a theater major.
Isn't that part of litigation?
I would defer to your experience, Your Honor. But there is something really important that theater is about. In fact, the whole thing rests on it. And that is this idea that we call the willing suspension of disbelief. Here's what we mean by that. When you go to watch a movie, you know that what you're seeing right in front of you isn't really happening, but you willingly suspend your disbelief so that you can become engaged in the story. That's why we care that Darth Vader loses at the end of a movie, or that the hobbits survive at the end of The Lord of the Rings, or that's what we believe when we go on a train station in London, we might be able to run through a brick pillar like Harry Potter did. It's called the willing suspension of disbelief. It's critical to the art form. Without it, there's no theater, because you'd say that's not real and I wouldn't watch it. It's indispensable. It is exactly the opposite when it comes to alcohol regulation. To believe that D&E and its predecessors are legitimate wholesalers, you would have to willingly suspend your disbelief. You'd have to disbelieve the finding of your excise officers. You'd have to disbelieve 80 years of experience wholesaling alcohol in the state of Indiana. You'd have to disbelieve the premise that every retailer should be allowed equitable access to a product. Instead, alcohol regulation has to be founded on deliberate and logical application of facts and laws. And so what we're asking you today, Commissioners, Chair, is that you don't suspend your disbelief. Save that for the arts, where it's so wonderfully important and so wonderfully necessary. But with alcohol regulation, be guided by facts, be guided by logic, find that this is not a legitimate wholesaler, and end this discriminatory practice in Indiana. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to take any questions.
I guess, so if you know, has Big Red Liquors ever encountered a wholesaler that refused to sell to them other than in this situation?
I'll be happy to get a definitive answer, but I can tell you that in my conversations with Big Red Liquors, they have never expressed another instance in which a wholesaler has refused to do business with them.
My experience in response to your last statement, don't some wholesalers require that you have a minimum purchase sometimes?
Absolutely, sir. And absent that, that's good. But in those situations, that same minimum purchase is made available to every retail permittee, not only
I
one.
agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners, and members of the staff.
Thank you, sir.
Right, next, John Cinder with Crown Liquors, maybe formerly with Crown Liquors.
That's correct. Formula.
All right, I'll have you take our oath.
Yes,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the testimony you're about to give the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name,
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say,
Okay.
tell us your name and,
I'll tell you about myself. My name is John Cinder. I'm a prior owner of Crown Liquors. We have an operating history in central Indiana since 1989. On October 2nd of this year, we sold our 19 stores to Big Red Liquors. At our height of our operations, again founded in 1989, we had 31 locations. We proudly served our customers, proudly served the state of Indiana. And I would add, as a thank you for all those years that I've worked with every commission, every chairperson since 1995, when I joined the company to graduating law school. Always had a wonderful relationship. This agency is tasked with keeping fairness as with specific regard to the regs and codes to 7.1, and I thank you. So
I want to interrupt, but has he been sworn?
oh, no. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, I'm
I-
sorry.
yes.
Sorry. You see, I blindly follow my general counsel.
I said I do, yes. And I swear I'll tell the whole truth. I promise.
All right, so, in your capacity with Crown Liquors, did you have opportunity to have business dealings with D&E Spirits, or its prior iteration under a different name?
Yes, that is correct. So the prior iteration, Wabash Valley. So, in November of 2020, I contacted Dale Stewart via email, also by call and text. Requested a deal sheet, which delineates all of the products available, the deal levels and price. And let me open with saying that our experience with Wabash Valley is substantially similar to that of Big Red's. It's almost identical. There was a pattern of emails ultimately concluded with a denial of service. But in November 2020, we received a price sheet dated 10/24. It was 107 pages. And within days, we placed an order for 800 cases, which was the deal level that made sense to us. I guess there was a deal level for one case and a deal level for 800. We immediately placed an order for 800 cases. And we were denied. We were told that there's a territory limited by the parking lot around one specific retailer in Indiana. I said, well, of course, you're going to drive past 2 or 3 of our stores to get to that location. I'd be glad to pick up the product if that's the case, but we were told no. Subsequently, my company filed a complaint with this agency. So that's 2020. With regard to whether or not we've actually communicated with D&E, there was no use. We knew that there's no way. They have one customer and that's it. It was made very clear. So whether or not they were going to predicate denial of service based on I'm sorry to say, but an absurd tiny territory, or that we're not a customer under 7.1, which is also absurd in my opinion, we were just told it's not going to happen. So I can speak to my personal operating history. So there was an objection raised. Of course, Mark is a very fine lawyer, but he hasn't worked in the retail trade. I have. My partners and I and our staff have worked every day with wholesalers in Indiana, and I've never seen anything like this. Never. Not only have I not seen it in my 30 years, I haven't seen it since. Since 2020, there's been no wholesaler. So if I could just take a quick moment, there were some questions raised by this commission. Wholesalers, do wholesalers typically carry inventory? I have never, ever seen a wholesaler not carry inventory. And not only not carry inventory, but they carry inventory commensurate with what's on their deal sheet. So if they sell, let's say, 10,000 SKUs, I'm going to guess that your average wholesaler, particularly the big ones, have at least 70% of those items on hand in some quantity. Question was, have we ever seen a wholesaler limit either primary source suppliers or customers to one or a select few? Absolutely not. It can't work. It's not profitable. Someone may say this is speculative or conjecture, but I'm pretty good at math and pretty good in business. It can't be successful, or it can't function economically if it's not part of a contrived and captive relationship with just one customer. It doesn't exist. So I could tell you this. Crown Liquors purchased Kirkland brands for years by the pallet from RNDC, Republic National. Kirkland, as you may know, is what we would call a private label to Costco. Never been told no. Order it on a Tuesday. I'd be surprised if it wasn't there by Thursday, by the pallet. Sometimes we would sell it at a price below Costco. No one complained. Never heard a thing. Started doing this decades ago. Not only Costco through RNDC, but CVS products, it doesn't matter. Never been told no, never seen anything like this. Moreover, this is a 12-page Indiana State incident report form of Wabash Valley. And there's a 16-page one related to the permittee here at issue, D&E. I've never seen that. And I'm, by way of context, I am past chair of the Indiana Association of Beverage Retailers. I'm pretty familiar with 7.1, the regs. I've seen a lot of things. I've never seen anything like that. I have never, in Indiana, wholesalers seek the relationship with the primary source. It's not the customer. We never, Crown Liquor's always bought from the wholesaler. That's how you do it. That's what the three-tier system is about. Wholesalers independently establish relationship with primary sources, order the inventory, receives the inventory on the trucks, downstacks them, stores them on site, has staff, owns the trucks or leases the trucks, but their drivers, their employees drive the trucks. And it effectuates the delivery to the retailer only after it sells to the retailer, subject to a deal sheet that's made available to all permittees. So that's in my context. That's how I've seen the relationship between retailers and wholesalers. I'll stop there if there's any questions.
One on that, how do you typically, in your experience, initiate a relationship with a wholesaler, or how do they initiate a relationship with you?
Well, okay, so most of the wholesalers we've dealt with are the same ones that have been around for years. Yeah, there's some new wholesalers that pop up and they find you. And they call you. And they introduce you, our company, to their products. You don't meet primary source first. It's not like we contact the primary source and say, hey, you know what? Let's find a wholesaler that can do a deal for us. No, we were just part of the system, the three-tier system, the system in which we work directly with wholesalers, wholesalers deliver to us, and that's it.
Have there ever been brands that aren't currently in Indiana that you want to see in Indiana?
That's, yes.
And how would you go about seeking that out?
Okay. So I never called primary source ever before. I would call an Indiana wholesaler and say, is this something? It would come from a customer. I was out in California, I was out in Colorado. Can you get me this? I looked through the deal sheets. Back in the day, we used to have the beverage journal. If you don't find it, you can call a wholesaler, and a wholesaler would say, yeah, we thought about it, but it's not, for whatever reason, it's not something that we're willing to carry at this point. And then I don't get it. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna create a contrived situation and find myself a wholesaler and clear it just through us? No way. Wouldn't even occur to me. So that also brings, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So that just brings me to my final point, I suppose, on, 7.1, as I've read it over the years, has several narratives, so to speak, right? Talks about discrimination. You can't discriminate on price. You can't discriminate between customers. It talks about, the responsible sales of alcoholic beverages. It also talks about the three-tier system. I admired the three-tier system. I've studied it. I'm familiar with its history and how it came about in 1933. This is an indictment of that. I worry that, if someone were to say, we're only dealing with one retailer and one wholesaler, and yeah, there's a bunch of products on that deal sheet that you're not allowed to buy from, but ultimately this is not a big consumer issue. Well, what happens when it is? What happens when this is a Diageo product like Crown Royal, a particular flavor of Crown Royal that's only allowed to be sold in a couple national or just one large national retailer, to the exclusion of other retailers such as package stores or bars and restaurants or whatever? It's a dangerous thing. It's a scary thing. It could happen with Brown-Forman, but it doesn't. It's not even, I never put my head to the pillow every night to worry about something like that. But in this context, if this is allowed to continue, that might be next. That's frightening. So ultimately, let me conclude by saying that allowing a permittee like this to work around the system destroys the confidence that other market participants, whether it's Crown, Big Red, or anybody, have in the state's regulatory framework, and erodes the compliance from other bad actors. It's something that, again, I've seen some things in my 30 years, but I've never seen anything like this. Respectfully submitted. Again, my name is John Cinder. Thank you for your time.
Question, we heard from Big Red that they previously carried some of the brands that they were then no longer able to purchase. Did you ever previously carry any of the brands that you were denied?
For the most part, no. There was one brand. It's I forget the name. There was a bourbon that was sold by R&DC that somehow ended up in this house, in this wholesaler. We were denied. It's a small boutique bourbon. I believe it's owned by Buffalo Trace, but, and we did actually place an order for that item, but the bulk of the item, no, we didn't have a relationship with Wabash Valley as Big Red did. Well, thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes.
I believe you made the statement that you had asked for the orders from Wabash Valley,
Correct.
but here's where I'm not clear. Did you not try with D&E because you knew it wasn't gonna happen, or were you?
I believe that's the case. I thought about that as I was walking in there. Did I actually communicate with D&E? Because that happened years after Wabash, same iteration. I mean, to me, it's Dale Stewart. I'm guessing that I didn't even try.
Okay.
Because I knew what was gonna happen, because I talked to Big Red, and they were told no.
Thank you.
I have, I think, 2 or 3 more questions.
Please.
To your knowledge, what role did Dale Stewart play at Wabash Valley?
I
You said you reached out to him.
I did. I was
Why
told.
did you reach out to him?
Okay, well, so we, as this 12-page report form, there's a relationship between Wabash Valley and Rhodes Beverage, both of which are no longer permittees. We called Lance Rhodes, I believe, one of my partners did, or somebody did, and Lance Rhodes said, you need to talk to my sales manager, Dale Stewart. That's how that started.
And then, because this already came up, did you, as Crown Liquor, ever attempt to purchase from Middle Eight? Are you familiar with Middle Eight?
No, I'm not.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Is there in the liquor industry or in the specifically wholesale industry, a place where wholesalers, for instance, could publish their list of inventory, their list of price, that you as a retailer can shop around? Is there?
For the same item, or,
Yeah, say for the same item.
Well,
To get
then,
a better price or whatever.
well, back in the day before Beer Baron, you could, but,
Okay.
okay, but that's another matter. I don't know if there's anything that precludes the same item appearing in different wholesale houses in the state. It doesn't happen, or I haven't seen it that much. In fact, I don't know of any incidents where it does, but we do have the ability to log into their websites to see their deal sheets. By statute, they have to produce them in 30 days, I believe, or there's a period of time in which they have to disseminate those deal sheets, but we get them from the sales reps too.
Okay.
And I got a deal sheet from Wabash Valley, and I ordered based on that deal sheet. And all of a sudden comes this territory about a couple thousand feet. The parking lot.
Okay. To follow up the question.
Yes, sir.
We may know, those of us sitting in this room, but this is for the record. 800 cases sounds like a big order.
Yeah,
It is.
sure.
What is the reason that someone would refuse to comply with that?
That's a good question. I wouldn't, if I was a wholesaler, I wouldn't turn down an 800 case deal level. I mean, I wouldn't turn down an 800 case order. There's a reason why I formulated an 800 case deal level, is that it could be hit. It's sufficiently large to offer a price discount to entice the order. You get an order like that, you take it.
What did it tell you when that was refused?
We got a special situation. Here's what we have. And I concluded at that moment, I'm going to file a complaint.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you recall
Yes.
with that 800 case order, the value that would have been?
And I forget. The value of these products aren't that much. They're relatively inexpensive. So case of wine, a $10 bottle costs it's $120, 800 cases. It wasn't all that much. I mean, we were a big company at that time. We had more than 19 stores, probably anywhere between 25 and 31. And we have sufficient warehouse space to do it. That was our business model. Thank you.
Next, Lou Wildman with Sobro Spirits. Have you take our oath? You solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the testimony you're about to give the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
So tell us your name and who you are and who you're representing here today.
My name is Lou Wildeman, last name Wildeman. I own Sobro Spirits here in Indianapolis. I have held that license and operated that package store for the last 48 years. I'm here representing Sobro Spirits, and I'm also here representing the co-op that I run, Dollar Saver.
Who all is involved in the co-op?
Okay, we are a co-op that has filed with the state of Indiana. We have 30 members that belong to our co-op. All of these stores are located in Marion County and the touching surrounding counties. There are 12 owners. Some of these owners have multiple stores. The purpose of the buying co-op is to pool orders together and to be able to make large levels that are offered by the wholesalers.
Are they all packaged liquor stores within your co-op?
They are all packaged liquor stores.
Are you familiar with D&E Spirits and the brands that have been, or the brands and the situation that has been discussed today?
Yes, I have some personal experience with it.
Okay. And can you outline what that experience has been?
Well, you know, I kind of leads me into my testimony here. You know, I heard about the public hearing for the character of business for D&E Spirits. And, you know, I heard that this was a wholesaler that was in the business practice of only selling to one retailer. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and maybe point out some things to you that haven't already been said. As I understand this is not an issue, you know, of a wholesaler denying access to the product based on their location or limited supply, but a business practice which is acting in a discriminatory manner, not taking on any additional customers. I have experienced that and can testify to that and give you some information. Our liquor store places a high priority on customer service. We have in our store a customer request list. So every time a customer comes into our location requesting a product that we don't carry, we write down their name, number, the product that they're requesting, and then ask a few questions like, you know, have you ever bought this product in this market before or seen the product in the market? If not, you know, where did you learn about this product? We then tell our customers that we'll research and see if the product is available in this market and then get back with them if it is available with the price that we could sell it to them at. In many cases, or in some cases, we find that the product is just not available in this market. The supplier just doesn't distribute into this market. But most recently, in the last couple of years, we have come across products that customers are telling us that they're purchasing at Total Wine. And we have not been able to find a source from the wholesalers that we currently do business with. After some investigation, this is where D&E Spirits comes in. We found that this was the wholesaler that was selling these products to Total Wine, and that some of our customers were purchasing and requesting us to carry. So we contacted D&E on multiple occasions and never received any communication back whatsoever. So we had to go back to our customers and explain to them that we couldn't, even though that they were purchasing this product in this market, that we were not going to be able to sell this product to them because we couldn't get any communication with D&E Spirits. I'd also add, when it comes to the co-op, and in co-op meetings, similar situation and conversation occurred. Store owners were getting requests from customers on products that they say they were purchasing from Total Wine. And I quickly alerted them to the fact that probably the source for these products was D&E Spirits, and that they should contact them requesting information as far as pricing and pricing sheets. All of these members that did contact D&E, and there were quite a few of them, got the same response as I. No correspondence whatsoever. So they also had to go back to their customers and try to explain to them, even though the customers could go right up the street and buy that product from a competitor, Total Wine, that the wholesaler just wouldn't communicate with us. So consequently, there was no way for us to purchase the product. Obviously, in a lot of cases, our customers, as well as our co-op customers, became very frustrated. They didn't understand. Questions were asked, well, you carry a lot of the products that Total Wine carries. Why won't you carry this product that I want you to? You do not want to do business with us? Obviously, that was a tough question to answer because, all we could say is they won't communicate with us. To the customer, it seemed ridiculous. Some of them walked away frustrated and just thinking we didn't care. We didn't want to do business with them. Speaking of vendors, I have a vendor list here of wholesalers that I do business with. It is comprised of over 50 vendors. 10 of those vendors, I do believe, have the same permits that DNS Spirits has. Another 20 of these wholesalers hold either wine or beer permits. The other suppliers, wholesalers, or suppliers that sell us non-alcoholic beverages. An example would be Coca-Cola, 7-Up, Pepsi, Frito-Lay, etc. Now, all of these wholesalers have a number of things in common. Number one, they all want to do business with us. And to your point, to my knowledge, all of these wholesalers carry inventory. The other thing that they have in common is that when we contact these wholesalers, they respond to us in a very quick manner. The other thing that they have in common is that all of these, or the majority of these wholesalers, contact us and request time at our co-op meetings so that they can present to us pricing lists, new products, line extensions, so on and so forth. So that's kind of the norm as far as I'm concerned of things that a wholesaler does. They want your business. They carry inventory. They want your time. They want to present products. They also want to spend time in our retail establishments to take orders, to help us with damaged products, to help us with deliveries, to also help us merchandise and sample new products to the consumer. And I might also add that when it comes to Sobro Spirits and the Dollar Saver Buying Co-op, if we could get a price list comparable that Total Wine gets on the products that our customers are requesting, we would definitely purchase those products because that's what some of our customers are asking for. So I want to make sure that you understand my complaint today is not with Total Wine. My complaint is with D&E Spirits. Competition is good. Competition has always made me a better retailer. Competition is good for my customers. Competition is good for the consumers. But what isn't good is when I can't compete. That's not good for my customers. That's not good for the consumer. D&E Spirits has decided to distribute these products that my customers want only to Total Wine. Obviously, that is extremely unfair. It creates a monopoly. It stifles competition. quite frankly, I view D&E as nothing more than a clearinghouse. They aren't really a wholesaler. They provide a couple of functions. They facilitate a retailer to be able to be a tied house to a primary supplier. We think that's unfair. And as John has said, we think that's very unhealthy for the market. It's other suppliers and wholesalers are watching this issue and the outcome of this issue. And it's not unreasonable to think that, yeah, as John has said, today it's one wholesaler dealing with just one retailer, giving them exclusive rights to products. But what's to say a major distiller? For an example, John used Diageo. I can use the Jim Beam Company, that they decided that they wanted to contract with one wholesaler, a major product to be sold only to a certain segment of the retail market, or maybe even one retailer. Think about the outcry from the public if that were to happen. Maybe a closing thought, one final thought, the essence of the body of rules and laws that make our industry up is fairness and non-discrimination. If you read code IC 71, I think you'll find that the word non-discrimination is used up to 20 times. I would hope that you would find that D&E Spirits does not pass the character of business test. And I respectfully request that you deny their permits.
I have a couple of questions along the same lines as previously asked questions. How do you typically initiate a relationship with a wholesaler? How do they initiate a relationship with you?
Normally, I've never had to initiate a relationship with a wholesaler. They normally come to me. Most wholesalers aggressively contact retailers in the marketplace. So I cannot remember ever when I've had to reach out to a wholesaler. The wholesalers come to us.
And have you ever attempted to purchase any product from a wholesaler called Middle Eight?
I have not.
In your business model, your co-op model, when an order is made, does it deliver to a location?
Yes, it has to be delivered to the agent's location. It has to be on a licensed premise.
But do you have a separate warehouse that delivers?
No, the commission allows us to unload on the parking lot, which is a part of the licensed premise.
I do have one more question written down here. You indicated that you attempted to contact D&E Spirits. How did you attempt to contact?
Oh, that was through an email.
Okay.
And that was done multiple times.
How did you get the email?
I have a purchasing agent that orders our spirits. I'm not sure exactly how he obtained that.
Okay. Do you know which email he was sending that to?
I do not know, but I could get that information.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next.
Excuse me, may I interrupt for a second? Hello?
Yes, are you here for the investigatory hearing today?
No, ma'am, this is Chris Payne with CP Realty. I was supposed to be at the early one. I've been signed on, and I was told that they pushed me to the end. I just want to make sure that I still have a chance to address the...
This is an investigatory hearing on a separate matter. Your matter today, you were noted as a failure to appear, and we continued it to the November 26th escrow hearings. You'll get information on that from the commission.
So I'll have to attend the November hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
Virtual is great and not at different times. So with that, next witness is Scott Bedwell, who I believe is on virtually with us.
Hi, Chair. I'm just here as an observer today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will call Wilbert Best. Hi. Have you take our oath? You solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the testimony you're about to give the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, thank you. Can you tell us your name and how you're associated with the alcoholic beverage industry?
Yeah, my name is Wilbert Best. I own Best Vineyards Winery and Distillery in southern Indiana, or Elizabeth, Indiana. Again, we've been a producer of wine since 2008, and we got our distilling permits in 2016.
And are you familiar with D&E Spirit?
I am.
Okay, and what is your relationship or your familiarity with D&E Spirits?
I receive orders from D&E Spirits for Copper Mountain Beverage. I produce and bottle, I would say upward of 20 different products for those guys.
For D&E Spirits?
For Copper Mountain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Copper Mountain Beverage.
Mhm. And what is Copper Mountain Beverage?
Copper Mountain Beverage, my understanding is they're a wholesaler, right? So they have numerous private label brands. They contract with us to produce those. And again, those are shipped out through D&E Spirits. It used to be Wabash and Rhodes, depending on what the product was.
I'm sorry. What used to be Wabash product?
Oh, the Copper Mountain Beverage, right, used to go through Wabash and Rhodes. I guess our relationship with Copper Mountain Beverage predates D&E Spirits. When those guys shut down,
When Wabash shut down,
the transfer of those products moved under D&E Spirits, I guess is what I'm saying.
sorry.
Do you have a contract with Copper Mountain Beverage to produce product?
No, we don't. Like I said, we got together, we had a handshake agreement, and we've been working together for 7 or 8 years now.
So I guess, how do you know what the expectations of you as Best are as it relates to Copper Mountain Beverage?
Well, so again, so when they decide to create a new product or what have you, right? We have a phone conversation or they come down to visit us. We come to an agreement. We develop flavors, bottles, packaging. We all come to an agreement on what that's going to be. Then again, Copper Mountain Beverage arranges delivery of those raw materials to our facility. We proof, blend, flavor, color, what have you, the wine and spirits, package those up, and then those go out through the distribution chain.
What is your understanding of who owns the product that you are manufacturing?
Copper Mountain Beverage owns the product. But I get, like right now, I get paid from D&E Spirits because I get paid from the distributor. How D&E Spirits and Copper Mountain do their money, I can't answer definitively what that relationship is.
And then what is your understanding, if you know, of who owns the product while it's in transport from your facility to D&E Spirits?
I presume it's D&E Spirits because the invoice is to D&E Spirits, right, when we ship that out. But again, that's like when I was with Monarch Beverage, right? I mean, when the product left mine, it was under the ownership of Monarch Beverage because we invoice Monarch Beverage. So again, that's just my assumption there. I can't legally, I'm not sure.
How between you, Copper Mountain, and D&E Spirits, do you account for breakage or shrinkage while it's in transit?
So when the product is loaded on their trucks at my facility, right? It's not my problem. That's right. It's everything is FOB my dock. Right. So if materials are broken on the way to my place, it's not my problem. And if product is broken on its way away from my place, it's not my problem. It's someone else's.
Who, I guess when it's shipped out, is it in bond or out of bond when it leaves your location?
So when the product leaves my location, I'm responsible for paying the federal tax on that. And then D&E Spirits is responsible for paying the state tax if state tax is owed. That's the same relationship we've had with every distributor that we've dealt with.
And you may have said this, but I just want to clarify. Who makes the decision on shipping it to D&E Spirits? Like that will be the wholesaler.
I can't answer. I mean, I get, like I said, something happens outside, right? Then I get the call and the order for the product from Dale, right? As the distributor, then we produce, right? And I say, hey, we need this, that, whatever material I don't have, they make arrangements to deliver that. Once that's done, we produce and bottle it. And then the product goes out.
So how do you know, do you ship it out as soon as the product is complete?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like right now, right, we're working on about a 400 case order, right? I received that about a week and a half ago. We're in the midst of bottling that, and then that will ship out next week, and we'll invoice D&E Spirits for that.
But do you arrange the truck to come pick it up?
No, I call the distributor and say, hey, or Dale, and say, hey, the product's ready to be picked up, and then he arranges the pickup and delivery. Again, same thing we've done with every distributor.
I'm sorry, you call who?
Dale Stewart with D&E Spirits. Yeah. There, and I guess, there, to be upfront with that, there is one exception to that. We're doing an international order right now. And so that will leave our product in bond to another shipping agent. I'm not sure who that's going to be yet. I haven't been provided the export information on that. And then we would receive payment for that, pending your guys' approval, would be from Copper Mountain Beverage, because in that particular case, we're acting simply as the bottler, and it's not going through a distribution agent, it's leaving the country.
Do you have knowledge, and you may not, and that's fine, of what happens with the product after D&E Spirits?
The stuff that I bought, on my understanding, well, part of the product, the copper steel product, right? My understanding is it goes to New Jersey. Other products go to other states. We do some stuff up in Wisconsin. We do stuff in Colorado and Texas or Tennessee.
When you say we, that's for Copper Mountain?
Correct. Yeah. But we being Best Vineyards. Yeah.
I just didn't know if you were contracting with anyone else, but you're talking about specifically Copper Mountain.
Correct. We have contracted with other people before. Yes. Again, I mean, our relationship started with Big Red Liquor. So,
do you have any knowledge of where Copper Mountain brand is eventually sold?
Well, again, most of that goes to Total Wine, but again, we have Copper Mountain has products in Wisconsin and Tennessee that do not go through Total Wine. Like so, like I said, we do upwards of 20 products, I believe. Let's see, 4, 8 or 9 of those products are the products that go through Total Wine.
Do you have any direct communication with Total Wine?
No.
And when Copper Mountain drops these, I think you said raw materials?
Mhm.
What are the raw materials?
Again, bottles, labels, capsules, corks, barrels of whiskey from MGP or vodka, rum, whatever we're producing.
And are you producing wine and liquor or just liquor for them?
I've done wine and liquor. Right now, it's mostly liquor. We haven't done wine in quite some time.
And you said you had a relationship with Big Red, correct?
Correct. That's how we actually started working with Copper Mountain Beverage. Matt Koglazer with Big Red Liquors came down and asked us to do some private label product for them, and we agreed, and we've been working together ever since.
You still do business with Big Red?
I do not.
Why is that?
That was a very shady, unpleasant relationship. And I will never do business with Big Red Liquor again.
Okay. Did that involve a question about distribution of product?
No, it involves payment of product after it was produced.
Okay. And how do you know all your products, if I asked this, I don't think I did, how do you know all your products going through Total Wine?
I don't. In fact, we have, like, as I said, we do numerous products that don't go through Total
I mean,
Wine.
in Indiana, you didn't mention anything else, any other place in Indiana that your product went to? So I'm asking you how you know that.
I don't. As I said, she asked where I thought my product went, and like I said, the 9 products go through Dale. I know that those go to Total Wine, but that's what I've been told. But we've done some other private label stuff for various stores in the state.
Such as?
I can't get. Again, I would have to go back and look at my labels to know what those are. I know there was a cinnamon whiskey. There was a lemon vodka. Several barrels of bourbon that were all private label for various stores and stuff. But again, I don't know off the top of my head what those names were.
So is Mr. Stewart the individual who told you that all of your Copper Mountain goes to Total Wine in Indiana?
Again, it was either him or Lance Rhodes during those conversations.
Well, Lance Rhodes was a private business, right?
Lance owns Copper Mountain Beverage,
Okay.
to my knowledge.
Okay, so one of those two told you everything goes to Total Wine of Copper Mountain.
Of the 7 products.
So
Six
when
or
you
7.
created the handshake agreement with Copper Mountain Beverage, who was that agreement with?
That was with Lance.
With Lance?
Lance Rhodes, yeah.
Approximately when was that agreement?
2017, 2018.
Okay. Who holds the COLA for the brands that you're producing for Copper Mountain?
Best Vineyards holds all the colas.
Okay.
Likewise, we hold all the formulations for the flavors. We develop all the flavors for that stuff.
Are you familiar with any permits that Copper Mountain holds federally? If not, that's okay.
I discovered that they, I believe when the ATC was down, that they had a federal distilling permit. That was a total surprise to me because I'm like, you're not supposed to have that.
I believe you said that D&E makes the request for the product from you.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all orders for product come through D&E Spirits. Yeah.
All orders for any product or all orders for Copper Mountain?
All orders for any product other than this international order, which does not involve D&E Spirits.
So
Copper Mountain contacted me directly on that.
So you have an exclusive relationship then with D&E?
Define exclusive. What do you mean?
No one else? You just said everything goes comes from D and E is what I understood you to say. All orders come from D and E.
For the Copper Mountain stuff, yes.
But do your other products that you produce go through D&E Spirits?
Oh, no. But like I said, we self-distribute stuff that, like we distill brandy and whiskeys and stuff as well. So we produce some of those and private label those for people as well.
And
That's our product.
when it's delivered for D and E, who's picking up and transporting?
Again, we call D&E Spirits, and the truck comes down. Classic Transportation is typically who that was. And then my understanding is Classic Transportation's now gone, and they made arrangements for a truck to come pick that up, but I don't know who had ownership of that truck on the last one. Dale just told me that the truck was coming to pick it up. So I don't know if that was Copper Mountain, Classic Transportation, or D&E Spirits. That was.
Do you have any knowledge whether whoever transported it has a permit to do so?
No.
You didn't ask for anything from the driver or anything else to indicate who he or she was?
Well, I mean, I know who the driver was. He was an ex-employee of Classic Transportation. So he had the CDL license and that stuff.
Okay, but you don't know, you didn't ask him, you don't know who the company was or whether it was an individual transporter?
No.
If D&E calls you up and says that they will deliver you the materials, the glass, the labels, and so, do they give you an amount that they want produced? 400 cases, 200 cases?
So I'll either get for the flavored stuff, right? That will come in cases, right? I want 200 cases of peanut butter, 300 cases of peanut butter. For the bourbons and stuff, the whiskeys, typically it's barrel, right? I want to do 3 barrels, I want to do 6 barrels, what have you.
But they will ask for the quantity that they're after, correct?
Correct.
Do you limit the quantity that you can produce?
How do you mean limit?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, so like for instance, right, the last order we received for limoncello, right? They wanted, I believe, 60 cases of limoncello. When we made the batch, right, because you have some loss and sometimes a little bit over when you're proofing stuff because it's not, right, it's not an exact science measure there. I think we wound up with 68 cases, right? So we put the extra 8 cases on there and we billed them for those.
My question was directed to this. If So Brothers Spirits, a co-op, said, hey, customers ask, and we've got a lot of this, we'd like 40 cases of whatever brand that Copper Mountain makes. And D&E, could they ask you to make those for distribution?
Well, D&E would have to, I guess, work with Copper Mountain, right? Because, like I said, Copper Mountain owns the whiskeys and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, there's no reason I can't produce and
you could produce more.
Yes.
If D&E was selling a product and was asked by So Brothers to make more.
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
So, I mean, So Brothers could come to me directly.
You're not the limiting factor in this product being distributed.
No.
By a wholesaler to a retailer.
Correct.
You see what I'm asking?
Yes.
You'll produce what someone asks.
Yes.
And you can produce what someone asks.
To a certain extent, yes. I mean, there is a limit what my facility can do, but yes.
But you're not the limiting factor on a product being sold by D&E.
No.
Okay, thank you.
So when you get the order from D&E, do you tell Copper Mountain what raw materials need to be delivered, or how do the raw materials appear at best?
In most cases, we've already got the raw materials on site. I would say we're about 50-50 on that. And in the cases it's not, sometimes I reach out to Lance or Copper Mountain, and other times I just ping, because sometimes I get these orders in a text or something, and I'll just text back. It's like, hey, I'm 3 barrels short, or I need labels, or. So like I said, they communicate amongst themselves about making certain I get the delivery.
Among themselves is who?
D&E Spirits and Copper Mountain.
But you already have Copper Mountain by and large has already delivered the product. Then you get a communication from D&E and D&E says, hey, I need 800 cases of something. And you go, oh, well, I've already got that on hand. How about that?
Yes, again, this order, right, everything was already on site that we needed, so we're, proceeding and bottling it.
And how long normally do you maintain that kind of an inventory, just hoping for an order?
We constantly have inventories of different stuff down there. We've probably got 25 barrels of whiskey down there right now. I have a tote of vodka, there's a tote of rum, there's bottles, there's labels. We keep stuff on property all the time, to do stuff. Again, like with the limoncello, right? It goes into a special bottle. So, if they order 400 cases of limoncello, which has happened, I'm like, hey, we've only got enough stuff to do about 200 cases. I need another 200 cases of frosted bottles for the limoncello. And then usually when that happens, they order 5 or 6 pallets, right? So we've got product down there ready to do work.
Have you ever visited D&E's warehouse?
I have.
What did you see there?
Well, in the back, there's pallets of product that we've produced and bottled.
When was it you were last there?
A month ago, 6 weeks.
How much product was there in the warehouse?
15, 20 pallets. Again, when we do a pallet, it's usually about 4 layers high because we don't want them too tall in the truck so they tip over. So again, I'd say there's 15, 20 pallets, 4 layers tall.
And when did you have that delivered to them?
There was some of that product that we had not bottled for them for at least a couple of years. There was a vodka that's sitting there that's been there for a couple of years. Other stuff they had picked up 2-3 weeks earlier.
In which warehouse would that have been in?
So, gosh, you're asking hard questions now. I do not know the address. Yeah, northeast side of the city. I don't know the actual address. I can get it off my phone if you want it, but
Yes, I would like.
Hold on. It's back here, isn't there? 8432 East 33rd Street.
How long have you known Mr. Stewart?
Again, I'd say 2017, 2018. Like I said, we were approached by Matt Koglaser initially to do some bottling. Shortly thereafter, he hooked me up with Lance and Dale, and we've been doing business ever since.
Okay. I have nothing for you.
Question that I
Right.
just lost it. Were there any other products or any other brands other than what you produced at the warehouse?
I believe there was one pallet of stuff there that I did not recognize. I don't, but I could not tell you what it was. It just caught my eye and I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. But I didn't really ask any questions about it. It's not really my business. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You
All right.
are free to stay with us or you're free to go.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, commissioners, he is, I believe, received a subpoena on this, so we okay to release him from his subpoena for today.
I know.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Now, in the way we proceed here, we can either take a break now or call one more witness and then take a break.
March on.
March on, okay. Next, we will call Lance Rhodes. Do you take our oath? Do you solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the testimony you are about to give the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. All right, so tell us your name for the record and how you're associated with the alcoholic beverage industry we're talking about here today.
Okay, Lance Rhodes, RHOADES. I'm part owner of Copper Mountain Beverage. I mean, that's kind of, I think, my connection here.
All right, do you have any other prior involvement in the alcoholic beverage industry?
Yeah, I mean, I was former owner of Rhodes Beverage for 30 years, I guess, something like that.
And what permits did Rhodes Beverage?
Beer, we have beer and wine wholesale. And then, you know, I've got federal permits for Copper Mountain Beverage.
When did you first get the federal permit for Copper Mountain Beverage?
2004, 20 years ago.
And what federal permit did you hold for that?
I've got a basic permit for beer, wine, liquor. Also have an import permit for beer, wine, liquor.
Have you ever held a DSP permit federally?
We applied for one because we were going to open talked about opening a distillery, but we never did. Went online to do the wizard and the TAB, they delete it. I didn't realize it didn't get deleted. And then when it came up in an investigation, I went back on and looked. It was sitting there waiting for me just to click, delete. So I went ahead and deleted it. It had never been used or started.
When did you apply for the DSP?
I don't know, maybe 5 years ago.
How did you decide to start Copper Mountain Beverage?
We were trying to get a beer product for Rhodes Beverage back when Steel Reserve became a big deal with the high alcohol malt liquors, and our suppliers, Budweiser and Pabst, would not produce anything for us. So we just decided we could, would produce one of our own. So we had a contract with City Brewing up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and started producing a product called 4.0. And then we're distributing it here. And then we had a lot of wholesalers that expressed similar interest. So we were in 17 states distributing 4.0. And from there, we just kept growing our portfolio. Started out in beer and then added wine and then liquor at the end.
And that was all within the Copper Mountain portfolio?
Yep.
How did you so how long was that distributed in Indiana?
The 4.0 product?
Well, any product from.
2004 up until, the 4.0 we quit in 2 years ago. So 2022. So we did 20 years with the 4.0. It was our longest running product. We also had Milwaukee Special Reserve, which beer we produced out of Latrobe and La Crosse. Produced products at a Minhoff Brewery up in Wisconsin. We had several products that were produced up there, Horny Goat brands. Liquor, we started producing, Wilbur started producing some for that. We had talked to Bardstown Liquor, and I've got a contract with them. I just not did anything with it because Wilbur was cheaper for us, so we just stayed with them versus going to Bardstown, because Bardstown does the same type of thing what Wilbur does. For several companies, and bigger companies than us. They do it for several companies like Bullet and different companies they produce for.
Who owns the Copper Mountain product while it's being produced by?
We do while it's being produced, and then we transfer. In some cases, we've got a contract with Dale where we'll store stuff there because we don't have a location here in town. But he's not our sole wholesaler in Indiana. In fact, he doesn't even sell Total Wine in India with our products. We go through Bill Kennedy, which is Ventnor's something wholesaler. He does all our Total Wine products. So we've tried to separate ourselves somewhat from this. So our Copper Still product goes to Total Wine in New Jersey, and we sell out through the country through Deutsch. I think distributes out through the country for us. But as far as Indiana, I mean, we don't use D&E as our wholesaler for copper steel. That goes in Total Wine. That's delivered directly through another wholesaler, which I think everybody else deals with also.
Okay. And you don't remember the name of that wholesaler?
Then there's, I mean, Bill Kennedy's one of the owners. I mean, they're, fairly decent distributor. I mean, I think everybody knows who they are.
So who's arranging product to be picked up from Best?
It depends on, I mean, where it's going, I guess. I mean, most cases, like I said, you're talking about raw goods. I mean, we ship all the raw goods in there. I mean, if Dale needs product for, a lot of times him and I work together, and I mean, I'll just, he may be the messenger, but I mean, we're the one that, it's our product, until it gets shipped out to Total Wine, and then it's Total Wine's product. If it's going to the wholesaler and here in Indiana, I mean, we bill that to them. If it's, we got wholesalers in Tennessee, we got wholesalers in Wisconsin, just for liquor. But I mean, for beer, we got wholesalers in 23 states.
So you keep mentioning Total Wine.
I assume that's what this hearing was all about. So.
Is Copper Mountain sold by any other retailers in Indiana other than Total Wine?
Yeah. Yes.
Who else is selling Copper Mountain? If you know.
I mean, I'd have to go through our wholesaler and see. I know we've been in several restaurants and, Slippery Noodle. We've been in, other liquor stores like John Fangman's liquor stores, which I can't think the name of his liquor stores. He's got several liquor stores. I've met with some of these people individually, and I mean, we've done some private labels also for some of these people. So like I said, we're in probably 30, 40 other other retailers.
But you said in Indiana that's distributed by a different wholesaler than D&E Spirits.
Yeah.
So the product that is going to D&E Spirits, who arranges pickup of the product from Best?
Well, Dale does. Well, Dale does, because I can't really determine his, when he's going to be able to take it. So I let him make the call on it. Because I mean, I can say, yeah, I want to pick this up, but I don't know when when he's able to take it.
Who is placing the orders to Dale?
As far as for Total Wine, you're talking, or what are we talking here? I mean, depends.
Well, if
Other wholesalers, I mean, well, I'm getting those orders. I mean, like from our distributor here, distributors in other states, I'm getting those orders, and I'm just relaying those backward to Dale because that's where I got my inventory at.
So when D&E Spirits needs Copper Mountain product, who does D&E Spirits contact?
Like usually contacts me, but it also copies Wilbert, so we're all kind of in on the same link. I mean, if he needs, if he needs something, if Total Wine needs something, then I'm responsible for the brand overall. Wilbert's making the brand, but Dale's got the contact. So
then who?
And this is in New Jersey, not locally. I mean, if somebody needs something here locally, it's going through the other distributor.
Okay. So for the product that's going out of state to New Jersey, that's going through D&E Spirits, are you involved in the carrier process of getting that product from Best to D&E?
Me personally, no.
Your company at all?
Sometimes yes, but I mean, I don't. Like I said, I'm not the one that runs. I don't unload the trucks, and I don't make arrangements for freight. So it's kind of something I couldn't tell you exactly.
Okay. Does Copper Mountain ever arrange that transport?
But we have in the past, yes.
Okay. Do you know what happens to it after it gets to D&E Spirits?
Just from hearsay. I mean, I've just from all this stuff going on, I've heard different things, but I said, me personally, no.
So you've talked about New Jersey. How do you know anything about it going to New Jersey?
Well, back when we were involved in beer, we used to do some beer products through them, so I'm familiar with the system.
What system?
I mean, as far as Deutsch, Park Street. They've got several wholesalers, not just one. It's not like one, everybody's saying this distribution center. It's not like one distribution center for total wine. These are actually large wholesalers that ship all across the country to other wholesalers. And it's not just one. I mean, there's at least three that I've dealt with in the past. And so each one's a separate entity. You're not, you're getting orders from different entities for different brands. It's not like all the brands go through one house.
Who are the wholesalers in New Jersey that you've dealt with?
I said this, and I'm not sure it's even New Jersey. I mean, there's three different ones that I've dealt with in the past, and that's been Park Street, Deutsch, and third one slips my mind. It was pretty small when we didn't use them very often.
If you know, what happens to the product after it gets to Park Street, Deutsch, the New Jersey warehouse that we're talking about? What happens with the product after it gets there?
Well, my understanding is they have distributor agreements with distributors in, gosh, probably 35, 40 states, and they ship to those distributors who in turn, ship to retail.
Do you know if that shipping to retail is open to all retailers in those states, or is that limited retailers in the states?
From my understanding, it's a little both. Some states it's, opened up, other states it's not.
I think we may already know this through Best, but who pays the federal taxes on the product produced at Best?
We do. Copper Mountain.
Okay. And that is shipped, it's out of bond before it is shipped to a wholesaler,
Yes.
even the product that is going out of state.
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing that's not been out of bond ever is one we're getting ready to do. We're shipping some product to New Zealand. And so we're trying to get the bugs worked out because they wanted some barrels also. So it's a little different scenario because we got to make sure those get transferred in bond to an export bond and then an export bond to New Zealand. So we're working on that one right now, but that's would be the only time anything's been shipped out of, in a bond situation.
And then who pays the state excise tax on the product? Let's start with the product that gets shipped to D&E. Is there ever state excise tax paid on that product?
Yes, I believe we pay that. And if it goes out of state, we don't pay that. We pay whatever state we're shipping to, we pay tax in that state.
Okay. And then for the product that goes to the other wholesaler distributing to retail in Indiana, who pays that state excise tax?
Well, now let me back up a little bit. I guess I'm thinking of two different things. I guess as far as wholesalers normally pay for what they sell. Is my understanding right? That's what we're saying. So, I mean, if in the case the other wholesaler pays on what he purchases, he has to file. We file with the state as a primary source what's being shipped. There's really not a payment due for that. So I kind of misspoke a little on that one because we're filing for the state excise, but then this wholesaler also files and he pays for the actual state tax on what he purchases.
Are you a primary source in Indiana?
Yes. So we're based out of Washington, Seattle, Washington. So.
And so in the primary source rule or definition, there's a whole list of things that qualify you to be a primary source. If you know which category do you fall in to qualify as a primary source?
I mean, we're producing product in some cases out of state. I mean, majority of our products is produced in other states. I mean, what we do at Wilbert's was a small part of what we do. I mean, most of our stuff comes out of Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, some out of Ohio.
Any other questions?
I'm sort of a newbie among these commissioners and stuff. So just educate me here a little bit. What, you were talking about talked about raw products. You were talking about what got shipped out of Best and where it goes. As I understood, you said that the products, the Copper Mountain products don't go to D&E. They go to a different wholesaler in Indiana, correct?
Well, it's a there's combination. Some goes to D&E because, they're storing some product for us, which, we pay them for, which is, I understand was legal the way we were doing it. The other wholesaler, depending on where our inventory is at, if Wolbert's got inventory, we can ship it directly to him. If he doesn't, and I've got inventory at Dale's, I will ship it from Dale's place to the other wholesaler. But, when it gets shipped to him, that's when, excise kicks in, as far as, he's gonna be the final sale of the product to the retailers.
But nothing, as far as you know, nothing of yours goes directly to a Total Wine store
In Indiana,
in
no,
Indiana.
no.
And it's your understanding that anything that goes to a Total Wine store in Indiana comes from New Jersey. It's your product.
No. I mean,
So how does Total Wine get?
from our local wholesaler, he's delivering directly to the stores. So if these other retailers wanted to buy Copper Mountain products, they're welcome to buy it. I mean, it's available. We're selling other retailers right now. So I think what you guys, that's why I feel I'm kind of stuck in the middle here a little bit, because what you're talking about are products that I have nothing to do with. All these wines, the $3 Chuck stuff, all the cheap stuff, the nice stuff, all that is coming out of New Jersey, and none of those are my products. The only products of mine that get shipped out of New Jersey go to other states. I mean, I don't ship anything to Indiana out of New Jersey.
And who are these other wholesalers in Indiana who distribute your Copper Mountain?
That's what I said. It's Vintners. I should have looked that up. It's Bill. Like I said, Bill Kennedy. He's the owner. I mean, I've known him. He used to work for me a long time ago, so I've known him forever. I asked him to take our brands on, and so he took the brands on, and he's been selling them for the last several years.
And he's an Indiana guy?
Yep.
And you're registered as a primary source with
Yep.
his wholesale.
Yeah, and he's got
We'll be able to-
hundreds of other products. I mean, he started out mostly wine products. That was his forte, but now he's got several liquor products also. And he sells, I think that all the retailers here probably, they could probably chime in and tell me the name because they all deal with him.
Okay, thank you.
Why do you ship to New Jersey, just have it shipped somewhere else? Why can't it be shipped from Indiana?
Well, I mean, Total Wine, I mean, by shipping into there, I'm in 270 stores across the country. I would have to ship 270. I'd have to find wholesalers in each state, ship individually to those wholesalers to get it there. So, I mean, this is like, for me, is much more profitable. And I mean, economically versus, trying to find a wholesaler in 30 states. And it's hard sometimes to get a wholesaler to just take your one little product on.
Okay.
And so this guy opens the door for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Good.
I'd like to add a few things.
sure.
I'm sitting back there listening to this. I've been involved in alcoholic, distribution since 1979. And everybody keeps saying, well, I don't know, this never happens. And it's like, it happens all the time. I mean, Trader Joe's, I think you all know Trader Joe's. I mean, where do they get their product from? It goes through, they're probably on their 4th distributor in 20 years, but there is no inventory at those distributors. It comes in from a distribution center I can't remember the name of it now, the NDC or whatever, but it's in Chicago. It comes down every day, goes to the wholesaler takes it to the Terry Joe's. I mean, that's been going on for 20 years. So I don't see how this is any different. A lot of these retailers have private label. I mean, we were talking about, what was the name of the one distributor Big Red uses? Mid-8. I mean, you guys all asked about it. Everybody's asking about here about it. Nobody's ever heard of them. Why not? They don't have employees. They don't maintain inventory. I brought this up to the commission, well, not the commission, excuse me, to the excise 4 years ago. Why is this happening? Here's a wholesaler in Bloomington, Indiana. It's licensed to a residential house, has no warehouse, so they can't take product in. Yet they're the distributor that's shipping to Big Red. So, I mean, how's that happen? I mean, it's pretty, to me, that's really blatant. They can't even store inventory. I mean, they've got a garage. And so, excise keeps telling me, yeah, we're looking at that. But for some reason, it never gets brought up. But I mean, that's been going on there. And I know some other instances like that also where, I mean, small company working out of a small area. So it's not that unusual. And then it's just like, Crown Liquor. I mean, and John may not be familiar with this, but I mean, I've met with David Sims before, who was one of the co-owners at the time. And they were looking at doing the private label with us at Copper Mountain, like private label vodka and some other stuff. So, they came to us as a primary source. Big Reds came to us as a primary source. That's how I got to know Wilbur, is through Big Reds. So, I mean, all these retailers are coming to me as a primary source. They're not going through a wholesaler. And then we make a deal on what we want to do. And then we got to find a wholesaler. So, in most cases, the retailer tells me what wholesaler they want to go in. So, I mean, to me, this is just like business as normal. It's been going on forever. I mean, Big Red's got, like, as their attorney or representative mentioned, they've got several private label around, brands that they control. I mean, nobody else owns those labels. I mean, the Cardinal Spirits produces all these labels, but it's like Cardinal doesn't own the labels. So who owns the labels? I mean, that's the question I want to know is like, okay, Big Red said, yeah, they're willing to let anybody buy these products, which is a little different, but of course they will, because somehow, they're profiting off the sale of those other retailers. I mean, it's not, like I said, if you go to Cardinal Liquor, they don't own any of those, if you look at trademarks, I don't think they own any of those trademarks, any of those brands.
Are there any other wholesalers you're aware of that conduct business the way we've heard?
Well, like the mid 8 or whatever that thing is. I mean, that one is like, to me, is like the most blatant. Some of the other wholesalers, like Cavalier, I mean, they're a respectable distributor. They have products, they keep inventory, but they do Trader Joe's. They don't maintain any inventory of Trader Joe's. I mean, the only inventory you would find in their warehouse would be something I got broken that's sitting in the corner. I mean, they bring product down 4 days a week from NDC. NDC or whoever it is that brings it down. They bring product down every day. It comes down, they pick it up, maybe 10 o'clock at night, that night before, bring it down, sits at the dock, and then it gets, delivered the next day. I mean, it doesn't really sit in their inventory.
Are you familiar with whether Cavalier would sell the Trader Joe's brand to another retailer that's not Trader Joe's?
To my knowledge, they never did. And when I was in business as Reds Beverage, I did Trader Joe's. So that's why I'm familiar with it. And we bring product down, take it to the store. It may sit there all night, but I mean, we get down, we deliver it the next day.
You said you did Trader Joe's. You sold it?
I did, when we were in business as a distributor, we did Trader Joe's for about 4 or 5 years. We had bought that from another distributor up north. Beer guy up north used to do it for 10, 12 years. And we bought the brand from him, the rights anyway. And then we were doing Trader Joe's business. And that's how it was done. And now, we sold it to Cavalier. And when we were getting out of business, wanted to get rid of it. So they took over the brands. But they, like I said, they pretty much just sell Trader Joe's.
Are the brands, is it Trader Joe's brand or is it?
Both. It's a combination. Some are Trader Joe's.
Brands.
Yeah. Yeah. But technically those should be, based on what I'm hearing, everybody says those should be available to everybody, but they're really not. And if somebody would call me and say, hey, I want this brand, this case, I don't have the inventory to sell them. I mean, it's like, I just brought down what they gave me the order the day before. This is what they want. I pick it up from the distribution center, bring it down. And, so I had no extra cases to sell anybody. So it's.
Was that your decision or were you told to do that by Trader Joe's?
Well, I just got their orders the night before. Trader Joe's would give me the order. This is what we want. They send it to the distribution center. We go up there and pick it up. We do an invoice, deliver it the next day. So.
Did you create a purchase order?
Yes, we did a purchase order online.
Did you ever attempt to do a purchase order for someone else besides Trader Joe's?
We've only had, I think, my knowledge, one person ever asked about getting something, and the trouble I had is like the distribution center is not. It's not Trader Joe's. It's a separate company that does the distribution center, and so they don't carry extra inventory either. So it was always a problem getting inventory through the system. I mean, it's not set up to work that way.
For Middle 8, Are you familiar with whether, and if you're not, that's okay, if any other retailers besides Big Red have been denied the ability to purchase those products?
I don't think anybody, as we saw today, nobody knows who they are. I mean, that's a name you've never heard of because they don't have a location, they don't have salespeople. Only reason I'd say it was residential, we just did a map it online to see where the address from the license showed up, and it was in the middle of the residential section.
But you're not familiar with whether they sell to anyone besides
No.
Big Red or not?
No.
So we've heard opinions from other people today, obviously, about how they feel about the way they believe D&E has the sole system set up
Mhm.
exclusively. What's your thoughts about that? And I mean, I know you already said you think other people do the same way, but so what's your opinion?
I mean, to me, it's kind of 20 years ago, I would say, okay, I would have felt maybe different about it today. I mean, it's like just-in-time inventory, the way the world's going, this is kind of where we're going to. And, not all the products Total Wine are exclusive. I mean, they do have some certain products that they're doing the distribution on. But I mean, if these other retailers want to go out and find the source, like some of them do, I know Big Red does it, some others go out and find their own private sources, you can do that. I mean, I've dealt with, as a wholesaler, dealt with almost all the retailers in the state. I mean, we were the largest distributor in the state 20 years ago. I had Budweiser, so I've dealt with a lot of people. And it's like some retailers go out and make deals with primary sources, get a label, and then they find a wholesaler, bring it in. So it happens all the time. And then other people want those labels, but it's like they can't get them because there's this so-called agreement that nobody has a contract for. But I mean, it's going through distributors that are big distributors. So nobody's singling them out because they're selling it. There are other brands to everybody else, but they may have this one brand they're not selling to everybody else. The wineries are really bad about it. I mean, you get a winery like one time it was Frog's Leap, or you can look at some of the big names that they come out with a special product, and they're only going to allocate 10 cases to this distributor. Well, they're going to dictate where those 10 cases go. So, I mean, yeah, Big Red and, Crown and 21st probably can get those products because they're so big. But, the small guy isn't going to get a chance to buy those products because, they're dedicated to those retailers by the primary source.
As a wholesaler, did you ever refuse or ignore people calling for wanting to buy product from?
Well, you got to remember when I was really into wholesaling. I mean, it was at 4 territories, so it was like the law of the West. I mean, you sold anybody. I had retailers in Angola. I mean, we were not well liked because of we were the largest transshipper in the state. So so we had a little different philosophy from.
So the answer would be no, you never turned down business.
Well, I would if it wasn't economically feasible for us. I mean, there's some places like in Evansville or places I wouldn't go to because it's just for what they're going to order. If they're going to order enough to make it worthwhile for me going down there, I'm not going to do it. I mean, it's all based on your financial decisions.
Okay, thank you.
If they were from Marion County and you were in Marion County, you'd serve them.
Most times, there's a few I didn't
No,
like.
you didn't like people.
Yeah, certain
Okay,
people,
yeah.
it's like heck with those. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, had bad results. I mean, just, you don't get along with somebody.
Business and money is money.
Yeah.
If you can make money, you'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Am I free to go? I'm supposed to be on a trip right now, so.
Oh, yeah. Is everybody okay to release them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Unless it sounds like a good trip that I'd be jealous of.
If you're jealous.
I'm just going to
make them
Tennessee.
Okay, never mind.
My 2 daughters are doing a 100-mile run and I'm helping them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Tell them good luck.
All right. We're gonna need a break
Yeah,
now.
break time.
All right, we will take a brief 10 to 15-minute break. And then we'll reconvene at, we'll say
How about
We'll
this?
say 3:21. On that clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.